My Better Living. Spend some time with Nurse Shar for honest and healing conversation about the benefits, challenges, and real-life struggles of living healthy, well, fit, and free. Real discussion for real people who want real change. My Better Living. This podcast is being broadcast on Power Plug Radio, home of your throwback jams. You can download Power Plug Radio app on Google Play or the Apple iStore. Don't forget to subscribe to the Power Plug Radio YouTube, where you can catch My Better Living live every Tuesday night. And visit www.powerplugradio.com to find out how you can sponsor the next episode.
You're listening to Power Plug Radio, home of your throwback jams.
All right, welcome everybody. Welcome to My Better Living. This is episode 7, self-care. Shout out to everyone watching live on Power Plug Radio YouTube, as well as those that understood the assignment and downloaded Power Plug Radio app and are now listening live. Welcome. Thank you. This is Nurse Shar, and we're in for a great episode. I have a wonderful guest this week on the Nurses Station. My special guest is Melissa Rowland, nurse and owner of Florida's Elite Fitness Club. One of my boot camp instructors that be making stuff up in the morning.
All exercises are made up.
I get up early just for that. This month this month has been February, and man, let's just pause for a minute and acknowledge that it is 2/22/2022. Yes.
For all of us.
Those are some great angel numbers. Those are some wonderful numbers. Sorry, we had a little technical difficulty in the studio. Just a little technical difficulties. Apologies. Okay. 2/22/2022. Yes. We apologize, y'all. You know, sometimes things happen.
That's when it's live.
When you go live.
Right, when it's live. It's for all of our.
Well, this will forever be remembered. This moment right here. I'll cut it out in the playback.
Right.
But this month is February. There's so much going on this month. We celebrated Black History Month. We celebrated National Black HIV/AIDS Awareness Day. At the beginning of the month, I just turned it into a month. So just so you know, it's now National Black HIV/AIDS Awareness Month, because I said so.
Period.
Right. We just celebrated, Valentine's Day, our loved ones, our lovings or whatever. And so this month we focused on matters of the heart. And we close out February with a really, really great sort of hug for the end of the month. We talked about uncuffing, peeling yourself away from whatever it is you need to peel yourself away from so you can get some things done. I'm going to see you come April. Protect your heart. We discussed protecting your heart. We had Iara in here with Yummy Wellness. She brought us some great smoothies, and we had a great conversation about protecting your heart. Latricia really hit it home with, talking about meditation and how the whole act of meditation is just really a great soother for the heart. Last week, I sat down with 2 gentlemen. I sat down with Mr. James Swain, and I also sat down with the Velvet Missionary, and I talked sexual health. So, great conversation. Please go back and check that out, sex and sexual health. This week, we're closing out February. We're closing out the Matters of the Heart series, and we're going to talk about self-care. So needed. It's the thing that you didn't know that you needed that you do need. And we're going to talk about that. But I do want to get into just a couple things that I feel so fortunate to have been a part of that happened, both this weekend and actually today, 2/22/2022. Hopefully nothing falls. Right. So this weekend I had an opportunity to speak at the 7th annual Natural Hair, Health and Beauty Expo. And my wonderful guest was there to support. Thank you so much for coming out. It was such an exciting time. One, because, you know, the topic I discussed was going plant-based and reasons why it should be on your 2022 list of things to do. So, you know, being able to be in that lane and talk about something that's so near and dear to just my own health and well-being and journey, you know, really felt good. It really felt good to just be in that atmosphere of creativity, that atmosphere of entrepreneurship. There were so many things there. Did you buy anything great there?
Yeah. We bought some amazing things. Actually, we are now experiencing the CBD. I mean, the oil, the rub that we bought for aches and pains.
Okay, how's that working out?
Oh, it's working.
Okay.
We're both tingling all over every place that we put the ointment. And it was from a beautiful young couple that that's what they do.
Okay, awesome.
And it's for joint and pain relief, but you feel it all day long. So
that's the point, right?
Yes, that's the point. And then we brought some jewelry and, you know, just had wonderful conversations with people.
That was the thing that I really liked. I really liked being in an atmosphere where I saw familiar faces, hugged people. I bought some really wonderful smelling candles from a lady. And you know what I liked? I liked knowing all the places people were from. There were people there from New York and New Jersey and Texas. I mean, the Carolinas. Mm-hmm. There were like just a lot of people from different places, and it was just a wonderful thing to be a part of. You know, and the wonderful discussion that happened during the workshop on plant-based and people wanting to go plant-based, and talk about, had a wonderful discussion with the lady afterwards, and she said, yeah, you know, they told me that, she said same thing with me, my A1C was, you know, creeping up, and she was like, you know, you can't really tell, you know, I'm really slim, but she was like, you know, you hit it on the head when you said it's what's going on inside. She said, because the minute I got my A1C down, she said, I got excited and I celebrated with the cake.
Yep. And that's how you do that.
And she was like, so I got a problem.
Not a problem, just rewiring.
Said,
it's just rewiring. Yep, not a problem. Not a problem.
But the fact that she was like, she shared that so openly with me, and you know, she just said, you know, you said some great things that resonated with me. That for me was the highlight of
Can I just give you kudos for that for 1 second though?
Thank you.
I just want all the listeners to know. I know they probably hear you on the podcast, you know, but me and you, we see each other every morning, 4 days a week. But to actually sit in your presence as you share that story, which was a very intimate story, to be able to be so open about it. You are a phenomenal speaker.
Oh, well, thank you.
You are. I was just so moved by that. I didn't want it to end. You know,
I didn't want it to end. I wanted to like keep engaging. Like, I love the process of learning, and I love sharing things that I know with people. And I like when people share things that they know with me. Like, I believe in collective learning and collective, you know, knowledge share. I believe in that. And so, you know, I really like that. I really like, you know, learning from people. So yeah. And honestly and truthfully, you know, with My Better Living, the whole idea is to just break these things down so that people can really digest it in a way that's, you know, meets them where they are.
Yes,
you know, a lot of times, and you know, next month we're really gonna, you know, dive in all March into nutrition and foods. And you know, that in and of itself is just a whole month.
It's a relationship.
Topic. So
it's a relationship.
We're gonna have all month to talk about that. But you know, it felt really good to just, you know, hear people talk about the struggles that I know that I have, and or still have had. You know, it didn't just, you know, snap your fingers and all of a sudden now I'm a plant-based eater. I am the vegan of the year.
Oh gosh,
doesn't work that way.
Doesn't work that way.
But you know, every day that you try to do better is better living. Amen. Right? Something else really, really exciting that happened today, actually, and I'm gonna say it again, 2/22/2022. And this actually happened on at 2:22 in the afternoon.
No.
Yeah, it did. So it was launched exactly at that time. And that is the campaign that is being launched by the Well for Life, and it's called Liberated and Living Well. For those of you who've been watching the podcast, listening to the podcast, Dr. LaDonna Butler was here last month as we said cheers to new beginnings, and she talked to us about this campaign that was coming. And you remember, she told us this day, and today was the day, and I had an opportunity to be among some amazing champions for this movement. And she told us today that she wanted us to walk away with 3 things. One, that our stories matter. Our stories matter. Our collective actions work.
Yep.
And that we are worth investing in. And I couldn't disagree with any of those points, which is why I am very, very, very much a champion and an advocate for this movement. You can sign up. Actually, if you go to thewellforlife.org, you can sign up to be part of this campaign. And the campaign basically is looking at actions where people just submit actions that they've taken to living liberated or living well, and they can be, like she said on the show that she wanted 1 million actions. I said, but imagine, she was like, is that too much to ask? I don't think that that's too much to ask people to pour into themselves, because that's really what it is. When I think of being liberated, I think of, taking some bold actions to free yourself of whatever.
Because when you free yourself, you're going to free so many other people with you.
Right? So imagine that collectiveness where collectively people, so I tell my family that might, be across whatever, we all participate, friends. So this network of people that are really taking actions towards being liberated and living well. And imagine collectively what can come out of the end of that. Probably a much healthier people.
Freedom. Yep.
A much healthier people. So I am 100% in support of it. They had some great speakers and poets there today to really just kind of kick this off, and everyone just talked for a few minutes, from their perspectives and from their work and their experience about what liberated and living well means to them. So I thought that was awesome. And since you weren't there,
it was 2:22 in the afternoon. When at 2:22 in the afternoon, I was in the knee deep in working.
I'm pretty sure
make it, but I did. She did invite me, but I definitely.
So I'm gonna give you your 2 minutes.
Okay.
So this is your 2 minutes.
Okay.
So the campaign has been extended. So it was like a kickoff, but what does that mean to you? Like when you hear those words, liberated and living well, where does that resonate?
It really resonates with me with discipline, and I say that respectfully because the more disciplined I am, the more liberated those around me can be.
Okay.
So it frees me from focusing so much on myself, because if I'm liberated and no one else around me is, then how liberated am I really?
Right.
So when I think about that, I think about discipline. I think about being unselfish. I think about putting the needs of others first. But the way you do that is by taking care of yourself. So if I'm disciplined to do the things that I need to do, then I now set other people free from having to take care of me. You see what I'm saying?
Yes,
so
I
we
do.
have to be able to take that discipline and self-care to make it a bigger purpose so that others can care for themselves. If I'm not disciplined or I'm being selfish, then I'm going to pull from other people's freedom and liberation to make them take care of me. So that's what I think about when I think about that.
Yeah, I agree. That was deep. Yeah. For real.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
Because but but it's such a true statement, you know, like when you say that, I think about my mom, because my mom is such an independent person. My mom recently retired, and she is set on taking care of herself. Amen. And I can see where, you know, she still goes to the YMCA. She still, you know, tries to keep herself active. And it's for that purpose. I don't think my mom wants to be like, you know, a burden on me but she doesn't want to be in that position. Right. Of somebody taking care. So she tries to do everything that she can to take care of herself. And, you know, so even though at some point, you know,
but when she does that, look how liberated you are. Yeah. You know what I mean? Look how free you are to be, to do and walk in your purpose.
Yeah.
But if I pull from that because of my lack of discipline and selfishness, then I'm pulling from you what's supposed to be your liberation and your freedom. So I think about, you know, we have 6 kids, you know, and they're all walking in their journey. They all walking at a different pace.
Can we just go back to the 6 kids?
Yeah.
We got a whole Huxtable clan.
We got a tribe. We have a rolling clan is what we call it. Yes, we have been blessed with 6 nations. And I've always referred to them as nations. They'll laugh sometimes when they say that, but since they were little, you know, because they're so powerful. They're just such powerful beings, and they're leaders. And I always challenge them, you know, where are you leading people to? True. You know, so I don't want to pull from their freedom and their liberation by not taking care of myself. So I want to be able to tap into that inner strength that God has given us, that the ancestors have laid down for us. And I want to be able to really live in my peace and my freedom and liberation without pulling from somebody else's.
I agree. I like that. You know, it's funny that when you said about your kids and how, you know, they each are different or have their own, you know, they teach us in biology, you know, the more you have like kids, the different combinations that could then. So I'm always interested in people that have like, you know, more than like 2 or 3 kids, because they have the most interesting stories about the range of just.
Girl, we don't have the time or the bandwidth for me to go into the stories of those 6 nations of mine, ranging from the age of 19 to 31. So, and all walking in their purpose and their journey and teaching us. We're at the point right now where we went through that whole phase of mothering and nurturing and guidance to now we sit back and learn from what we poured into them, but respecting the fact that we did not create clones. They're not our clones. No. First of all, they were given to us for a short time. They're on loan to us. Yep. Because we did nothing to create them. I just housed them. You see what I'm saying? So that creation was already there before me. So when God looked around and asked them what parent they wanted and they chose us, I take that. That's a huge responsibility.
It is.
You know, so I look at it that way, that you chose me to be your mother. Yeah. You know, so now we're learning from them. And the lessons we are lessons that they are. And sometimes it's like, me and their dad will be like, okay, can we just get one lesson today from one child and not 3 lessons from just 3 different children? Just give us 24 hours to absorb just this lesson. At a time. Yes. So we're learning a lot now. So respectfully.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's what happens, because I would imagine that, you know, my mom's probably learning some things from me and I'm learning things from, you know, my daughter. It's just an interesting time because it's like the age of information. So you're learning lessons because you're like seeing, like I see my mom sometimes and the things that I do, and not only do I understand it, but I also try to like correct it, because I'm like, yeah, that used to really make me mad.
I swore I wasn't going to do that, and I'm mastering it now. So used to make me yes, mastering it now. I totally understand that.
That used to make me mad. So, you know, but it's also information, just like sensory overload. Ooh. You know, so you learning other information, just a lot about a lot of different things that they're processing so much faster than we processed it. Even, you know.
Yeah. So that's quite interesting, but it's
good. It is.
It's liberating.
It is liberating. It's liberating to talk about that. And you know, I'm going to put that on my log. I'm gonna put that I had a healing conversation with someone about how I felt when I realized that I might be a little bit like my mama. Just a little bit. It was liberating to say that.
Liberating. Remember, it's liberating. Keep telling yourself that.
It was liberating, and now I feel well.
Now I'm better.
We're going to get into the Nurses Station. The Nurses Station is sponsored by the Bird Cares nonprofit organization. Dealing with the challenges of today requires problem solvers who bring different perspectives and are willing to take risks. The Bird Cares emerged out of a pursuit to inspire and support the community and a desire for actions to speak louder than words. Established in 2017, they're an organization driven by progressive ideas, bold action, and a strong foundation of support. The Bird Cares is dedicated to improving health outcomes in high-risk communities, one message and event at a time. Their mission is to inspire health and behavioral changes among families and communities through health promotion, target marketing, and education. Let the Bird Cares take your health message from idea to reality.
I like that.
One of my favorites. So, as I mentioned earlier, I have a very special guest. Miss Melissa Rowland, mama of the Rowland clan, as she's
yes, ma'am.
As she says their name. And so, Melissa, I met you, and it's funny because, when I first met you, our connection has changed, but I like it. I really do, because it's like I'm getting to know other things that you do and that really just speak to like
yes.
So when I first met Melissa, she was wearing the mom/manager hat with her daughter, who beautiful singer. You've probably seen her on Power Plug Radio before. You've seen her on we've covered different events, and that's Siobhan Monique. And I didn't see you for a while.
No, what?
I think COVID happened.
Okay, this was probably before COVID too.
Probably this is before she moved.
It's like we reconnected as like new friends.
It's
like, we know each other, but there's the connection.
Now she's not my manager to me. She's my boot camp instructor.
Oh well, when am I gonna become just friend?
I don't know. When you start making stuff up at 5:30 in the morning, Melissa. Listen, I got a little ache right now, and so you the boot camp instructor of the day, okay?
Oh my gosh. It's not that bad, y'all. It really isn't. It's not that bad. No.
Listen. She says it while she's laughing.
This morning was tough, but we all right.
We gonna be all right. We're gonna be all right. We got to stay consistent. But Florida Elite is the name of the fitness club. So I want you to talk about that, because the mom manager I got, and I knew you was a nurse. She's a nurse. You see all that magic that I'm mentioning to you. Mother of 6, mom manager, nurse. There's a lot of magical things that happen on this show.
Wife.
32
years.
32 years. Long time, girl. Shoot. Get an academy for that. 32 years. And fitness instructor. So where does the fitness instructor fit into all of this?
Well, that goes back to that liberated freedom that we spoke of earlier. Being able to put yourself in a position where you take care of yourself for the purpose of not pulling from someone else's liberation and freedom. So that has been a drive. If my mother tells it, she'll say my entire life. She'll say, you've always been that way, know. But me really coming into an awareness of it, how Florida's Elite started, there was a young lady. So I'm married to a football coach. Let's just put that out there.
Right. So you heard that, right?
Right.
So y'all know how these boot camps be going. I'm just
Coach Decky has coached football in this area for 20 something years. So there is not a child that has played football at St. Pete Little Devils, Lakewood, or Silver Raiders that does not know Coach Decky. So that kind of he was training athletes. He was known for training athletes beyond the little league years into high school and college and into the pros. So there was a young lady. We had started Florida's Elite because that's what he did. He trained athletes. Him and my brother and Coach Williams, they're just pillars in this community when it comes to any athlete in the NFL from this area all went through their training. And they're like uncles and dads and brothers to them. So there was we had started we did a football camp. And then there was a young lady whose mom approached and said her daughter played basketball. And she wanted to know if he could train her. And of course he said, yes, I could. But because she was a young lady, he said, do you mind coming out there with me? Just so she can have another woman with her. So we go to different trainings and, just out of respect, just for that relationship. So I said, of course. So we started on the basketball court at Lake Vista, just me, him, and her training. And then my sister came. And then as people were walking around the trail, they were like, what are y'all doing?
They still do. And how long ago was this?
That was going on 14 years.
14 years, and they still asking, what you doing?
What do y'all say? Come on in. No, we're good. So it was never anything that we sat down and said, ooh, let's, we want to be boot camp owners, want to be fitness instructors. It just kind of morphed into that. And because he's such a pillar in the community, when word started to spread, because we've never advertised Florida's Elite. You've never seen anything.
You're right.
We've never advertised
Somebody told me to come along, and she watching right now. Come on, Shaw. It'll be fun, they said.
And that's how it was, because the people themselves are walking billboards for Florida's Elite. There's nothing that we have to say or do. It's their personal testimony.
Yes.
So we just provide a space and a place for people to kind of reach those goals that they have when it comes to either working out or clean eating. And then they do all the testimony telling. We don't have to advertise for that. So it kind of morphed from that. And then before you know it, now we had a class. And we were like, oh my gosh, we have a class. So then Mr. Rowland, being the mindset that he is, this scientific mindset when it comes to working out, started planning, the workouts and the routines and the equipment and, almost like trainers like football players.
Scene out there.
I mean, and I have to remind him,
cones.
Listen, tires, ropes, and everything.
Listen.
And it's like, wait, hold up. We're not trying to get football contracts.
Listen,
We just trying to survive.
out there with the wheelbarrow, y'all.
And it's a legitimate wheelbarrow, guys. Trust me when I tell you, it's a legitimate wheelbarrow
full of equipment.
So you're thinking, is he training athletes? And we have to remind him every now and then.
We're not trying
to get contracts. We're not trying to go in the first round. We're just trying to go to work. That's all we're trying to do. So it morphed into that. And here we are 14 years later with, every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday morning from 5:30 to 6:30. And there are some people that are out there that have been there for the entire 14 years.
Wow.
The ages range anywhere from...
The age range.
So we have from young as sophomores in high school to 72.
Yes.
All in the same boot camp at one time.
Yes.
And everybody's doing the same exact exercise. They're getting pushed the same exact way, but they're doing it within their ability to do it.
And I love to see it. I'm sitting here making jokes, but honestly and truthfully,
she keeps showing up.
I do. I keep showing up. I keep waking up at like 4:30 in the morning to go show up. One, because I feel like a sense of community, because there's, it's such a range in age and everybody knows everybody. It's like a little family, there's jokes, there's
definitely
everything.
Jokes. There's disagreement. There's arguments between the two instructors.
There's story time.
Yes, and all of that. And there's working out.
There's a lot of working out. We did a lot of running today, Melissa.
Did a lot of burpees today, but you're gonna be all right.
Burpees today, but we're gonna be all right. We're gonna keep it consistent.
We're gonna keep it consistent.
And for me, even the times when I'm struggling through, because maybe I was up a little late.
Look at what
like
you
tonight,
do.
like
Look at
tonight,
what you do, right?
I'm gonna be up a little late. 9:00 is my bedtime.
Ooh,
people just don't know.
No, 9 o'clock. Well,
they
say
I gotta get into bed.
40 is a new 30. Well, 9 o'clock is a new midnight. So we all get it. We all get it.
New my bedtime. I don't know what it is. Anybody else?
9 o'clock is the new midnight when you hit 50. I'm telling y'all. So
listen, it's my bedtime.
Trust me. Yep.
But no matter what, I like that feeling. I like getting up. and really just, you know, even afterwards, you know, you feel great. You feel like I did something today, you know?
Yep.
So there's nothing better for me than to get up and go to a place where I know, you know, we're outside. I love that. I love that it's in the community.
Yep. The support is crazy. It's just I can't do it without you all.
Come as you are, like,
come as
you
you
know,
are.
Come as you are. We ain't seen you in a while, but you're still back.
Come as you are.
Come as you are.
Yep, and hopefully you'll leave.
You know, it's
better.
not like, you know, other establishments where, you know, you leave for a little hiatus and they be like, well, where you been? You know.
Oh no, come on back. It's good to see you back. I'm glad you're okay.
You know, like the church house sometimes. Where you been?
Making you feel guilty.
You just be like, man, I'm just gonna go join another church.
Too much to explain.
just to avoid the walk of shame,
the judgment. No,
but no,
that's good.
I love that feeling, and I love the fact that, you know, you guys have that you're doing together. I mean, that's important. You know, that's important.
I love it.
Even as we talk about matters of the heart, that's important.
Love
so
that.
Today we're supposed to be focused on self-care, and you know, this is a great segue into that, because that's one of the things that I do for myself as part of my self-care. Honestly and truthfully, you're right, I have a lot going on. You know, if you're an entrepreneur out there, you're running a business out there, you have a lot going on, and that's one of the things I talked about today. When we talked about liberated and living well at the campaign kickoff, is just about, you know, sometimes now is the time in 2022, after we've been through COVID, after we've had people snatched from us, you know, people are now debilitated. You know, there was so much that came out in COVID about health and well-being. Not only that, just how our health system functions, how, you know, healthcare in this country, healthcare messaging. There was so much, like, you know, a lot of people just focus on the act of COVID. There was so much other things that came out.
So true.
Of,
so true.
COVID that really exposed that, honestly and truthfully, you better take care of yourself, because nobody else is going to do it for you.
Can you say that one more time for the people in the front, middle, and back?
Right there, better take care of yourself, because no one else is going to do that for you. There's nobody, you know, as you get older, there's nobody coming to save us.
There's nobody coming to save us. We are on Gilligan's Island, so let's just ride with it. There's nobody coming to save us.
In order for you, you know, if you are an entrepreneur, if you are a business owner, in order for you to keep going, in order for you to keep, you know, keep creating and keep showing up, even for yourself, you know, you got to take care of yourself. You got to take a moment to yourself. So we're going to talk about, here's some hard truths about self-care that I want to read. And, you know, we can break this down and talk about these, because I think that they're actually great points. So a hard truth about self-care.
Hard truth.
You will disappoint, maybe make some people pretty mad, when you start to prioritize your own self and your own self-care. Would you agree?
I would agree with that. Unfortunately, that statement can be agreed upon. That's the unfortunate part. Because what you just explained, that we're in a state of the world that we knew it before COVID no longer exists.
Nope.
It's all like we were all born again at the same time.
Right.
Or into this completely different planet, atmosphere, mindset, way we live, the way the world's moving, the energy, the atmosphere, the shift, everything is different. So it's unfortunate that statement can ring true in some ways, because it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. You shouldn't have people disappear from your life because you're choosing to want to become more disciplined. Right. And you want to become liberated, and you want to become free, and you want to walk in peace. But the unfortunate part is that will happen, unfortunately, because everyone's not walking this pace the way you are. So some people will become offended or exposed when you start living a certain way, because now it either forces them to either face what they are not doing, or they may just not understand it. And instead of us being able to talk about that understanding that they may not have, we create barriers of jealousy or resentment or being, just in that's very unfortunate that statement rings true.
Yeah.
But I can see that. I know people that has happened to. I pray to God that if that's someone in my life is doing that I will be nothing but support.
Right.
And if I'm not, I'm asking them to please confront me on it and let me know that, listen, I'm trying to, do this or do that.
Right.
And sometimes I feel like you may or may not be supporting me for whatever reason.
Right.
But that's an unfortunate truth.
It is. I mean, I hate to say it,
It's
but
an
it is an
unfortunate
unfortunate truth. And, sometimes it's just that sometimes when you realize you don't have energy, and this was something that I spoke on today, self-care and looking at self, not only about what you put in your body, it could be about what you're listening to, who you keep in your company, but just as important, who you don't keep in your company. And so sometimes when you start to prioritize yourself, you might find it where there might have been people, situation. I'm not even going to say it's just people, but situations that really took all of your energy out of you, and that's why you're so deplete. And so when you start to replenish yourself instead of other situations or other people, sometimes things and people will be disappointed. They'll be disappointed. They may be a little angry. They may not understand, especially if they're not in that space or they're not at that moment where they're like, you know what, it's time for me to take care of me. I think that self-care comes in different packages.
It does.
There's like moments of self-care, like going to get your nails done. Shout out to Holly, by the way. There's moments of self-care, like going to get your nails done, or, even going to get your hair done, or, like I told my husband, he's bald and he always shaves his own head, right? I mean, he does a pretty decent job most of the time. But I told him, I said, look, why don't you go and let someone shave your head for you? And he's like, I can do that on my own. I know you can. But that's like a moment where you don't have to do anything. Right. You could just sit there and let somebody just do that for you. I was like, you work pretty hard. Don't you think you deserve to just sit there and let somebody else shave your head? And, And so he finally did it. He finally went and sat and let somebody shave his head. And I think he was happy for it.
Question is he going to go back?
I don't know. I might have to push him to go back.
Now, is that going to be a part of a routine?
It needs to be. We're working on that.
Okay.
But so those are little things that you can do. But then there's also self-care projects. There's, I think, times when you really need to pour into yourself, mind, body, and soul, especially when it comes to like healing, even healing from trauma. I am 100% a advocate for therapy. I did therapy myself during COVID. I think it was an awesome experience. I, highly recommend it, especially if you feel like you just, not sure about what's happening inside or whatever. Some of that is self-care. A lot of that is your body screaming at you like, hey, we need a time out. We just need to sit with ourselves for a moment on our thoughts, or there's some things that we're not done with that, are really making life a little stressful. So how about we sit down and just talk for a little bit? All of that is self-care. And, when you do that, you're right. You may disappoint some people. So here's another one. The boundaries you'll need to set in place to protect your peace of mind will scare some people away. It's okay. Let them go. Self-care requires saying no more often. You don't owe anyone your time, a quick text back, or emotional support when you need to be giving it to yourself first. So the art of saying no is part of self-care.
That's loaded. That's a loaded statement. And I think as soon as I heard you say that, I'm going to tell you what my husband says. And I'm learning this from him. He says, I say no first, then I think about it. I am
there's some people at my job like that.
Right. He says
like the IT guy.
Right. Nope. The kids, they cannot. Nope. No problem. I'm the opposite. I contemplate and think about it or say yes first. So we literally just had a conversation recently where he is challenging me to say, okay, listen, if you don't agree, it's okay for you to say you don't agree. Mm-hmm. You don't have to try to morph the environment or morph your thought process to try to fit what you think I'm going to think.
Right.
You know, and I had to sit with that. I was like, oh, because you're right. Because as a mom, mm-hmm. you know, as a daughter, I'm 6 of 7. So being in that space, right? So being in that space, you learn to maneuver through without having to say no, mm-hmm. because you learn to accommodate, mm-hmm. you know, the different people in your life. And I watched my mother do that. My mother is the master accommodator. So I've watched her do that and I've learned from her. So we literally just had this conversation the other day because we were in the middle of a disagreement. And he was like, I need for you to say no. To disagree. Sometimes, I need for you to say that because I'm trying to think, what is he going to think? You know, because he's like, you always want to make it to where everybody's at peace. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes you have to have chaos because that's where you find the peace. It's in the chaos, mm-hmm. you know? So it's just right, like, though. I know. Yeah. You just said it. I know. Yeah. So that was a loaded question that you that statement that you said, because we just experienced that where I have to, and I don't like to say no. And it's mm-hmm. not because I don't like to say no, but I want to I want it to be like a peaceful moment at that moment. As
much as I say that he's right, I'm right there with you. I don't like saying no. I know. Like I you know, when people, especially when it comes to people asking me to do things, gosh. You know, saying to turn up for people.
Yes.
And I don't mean the literal sense turn up. We're not popping bottles.
Right.
People.
No, we're not doing that.
Say turn up
at 9 o'clock. Yeah, no, I can't.
Or when I say turn up, meaning to show up for people.
Absolutely.
And to show up for whatever it is that they may need of me.
Absolutely.
I want to be reliable. I want to be there for people. I want them to
and I love it.
Be okay with whatever it is they want to be okay with. But I had to realize the harsh reality that sometimes I had to say no, because then sometimes in that, whatever that thing is may empty me out. And sometimes it's okay to really say, you don't have too much going on. Today was a perfect example. I forget, someone asked me, was I participating in like a committee or some type of group? And I said, you know, I need to look because my bucket might be too full, you know, and normally I would jump at a chance to, you know, find out, or, you know, they were asking me, was I interested in some group? And I said, you know, I got to see, you know, I think my bucket might be too full. And while it just, like, I stabbed myself in the stomach, like, oh,
I know.
Just said no.
I know.
Like, you be like, but in about 5 seconds, you be like, you just said no.
Right. But there's beauty in that pause, though.
Yes.
And there's freedom in that pause. And that's
because now, guess what? I ain't got to think about whatever it is that they were talking about anyway. No more.
That part.
It just sounded like a lot. And it was just like, but it was the truth. It was like, there's nowhere.
You
like,
freed yourself immediately.
I freed myself.
You freed yourself immediately. Yes, you liberated yourself. Yes, you did.
It was. I don't even remember the name of the group.
Yes, you did.
I just knew that.
Sorry, group.
I just knew that it was going to take a lot out of me. And I didn't have it to give. I'm just going to be honest.
She really does appreciate what you all do. She just forgot the name of the group. That's okay.
I do. Whatever it was. I don't know.
But that was a loaded statement. Yeah,
it was. I mean, and kind of coupled with that is this, and I think we kind of touched on this about neglecting yourself to take care of somebody else may seem like an act of love, but given from a place of emptiness only leads to resentment. So being careful with that.
That statement to me is true as well too. But I think where the wisdom lies is whether or not you're neglecting. We have to define the word neglect. You know what I mean? Because for some people, it may feel like a neglect, but for others, it may feel like a place of blessing because I'm actually able to pour into someone else. So we have to make sure that we're defining that and not allowing hearing that word to automatically make us think, if I'm pouring into you, then I'm neglecting myself.
Right. There's a time and place, I think, for everything. And when I think about neglecting, you know, sometimes, and I'm another reason why I say that I'm so glad that, you know, to hear that you're such a well-rounded person, you know, like you have you're not just a mom, you know, you have your own career, you have your own business, you have, you know, a lot of things going on. But, you know, that's something that you see in, you know, large families where the mom is sort of like, you know, stay at home, and she literally pours herself into her kids. And guess what? The minute the last one leaves the house, she's left holding nothing but resentment, because she put her dreams behind. She, you know, and of course she did it out of love.
Right.
But she really neglected herself, her wishes, her wants, and things for, you know, soccer and
baby,
football games or whatever it was.
And in that,
so I can see how a neglecting can happen, even though they may not be truly neglected, but just the inner neglect. Yeah,
and it's in that scenario, being a mom of so many children and a wife and, you know, a sister and auntie, and I truly 100% found myself. I really did. I really 100%. I can say that with certainty, that I found who I was, as opposed to feeling like I neglected who I was. I found a purpose.
I mean, you still do all these other things. Like you still are an extraordinary nurse. Like that is something that is you. Like that is what you did for yourself. You know, like you're a great fitness instructor. That is, you know.
Some days you think so, Charmaine. You really think.
Child, like last week I woke up, I was like, you know, I really want to run today. And we was on the big court. I was like, okay,
we're running.
We running today. But I was in the mood to run.
Okay,
you know,
good. But on the days that you're not in the mood and feeling it, am I still a good instructor?
Yes.
Okay.
I guess.
All right.
At the end of the day, you are.
Just want to make sure.
But I feel like that's pouring into yourself as well, you know, because that is, you know, I know anybody who knows you knows that.
I love it. I do love it. So it's that balance. And then we started at a very early age. We were parents very young. But the one rule that we had for all of y'all that are listening, in the Rowland household, the children didn't come first.
Ooh.
They didn't come first.
See?
They did not come first.
See, this is why you're still so magical. This is why.
They did not. And I know when people hear that, they may think that sounds harsh, or they may think that, but they did not come first. And that was because we love them, that they did not come first, because you don't live in a world that's going to put you first.
That's right.
So we had to put you in a place where you clearly understood that you had to kind of maneuver your way, learn how to do that. But the children did. So we did date night at 19 years old when we were together. You know, right. I mean, it started out at, you know, shout out to Denny's, appreciate you. Shout out to Ponderosa, appreciate you, Ponderosa.
Hey, you gotta eat.
Listen, Ponderosa chicken wings. Okay, so that's what we did, but that's how it started out. So, and we did that faithfully every Friday. We would go out every Friday on when I say a budget, I'm talking about a straight
like you
budget.
Get a chicken wing, I get a chicken wing type deal.
I mean, literally. So, and the children knew that.
2 for 1. Right.
So now that we have no children in the house, you know, the 19-year-old is still there, but he's completely on his own. We are still date nighting every single week, you know.
Okay, so who had the best deals back in the day?
For date night?
Yeah, or for your on a budget date night. Listen up.
Y'all really want to know?
Yeah, who had the best deal?
Red Snack Shack, baby. Red Snack Shack, baby.
Get at Red Snack Shack?
Okay, a big red burger, gizzards, 2 slices of white bread with hot sauce and ketchup, and a shake. Boy, y'all better stop. Shout out to Reds. Shout out to Reds. That was
many a Friday night date.
That was the best date night. Oh my goodness. And it migrated into, you know, we had children, and all my pregnancies, all y'all were raised on gizzards. So all of them were raised on gizzards. But shout out to Red Snack Shack. We appreciate that. Neighborhood store, you know, neighborhood restaurant, and you know, that was like a cheers. Everybody knew your name when you went to Red Snack Shack. So yeah, but you know, we did that first. So we started that very early on, so we wouldn't be strangers to one another.
That was awesome, because like you set yourself up for greatness as far as, you know, like you were still pouring into yourselves and still taking care of yourselves
without realizing
emotionally,
yes,
mentally,
yep,
and these are the things that people don't like. This is why I love the campaign Liberated and Living Well so much, is that people don't realize is all these little actions that contribute to your well-being. Like, look how much enthusiasm and happiness telling that story brought her, let alone that Gizzard and Shake going down at the time.
It was some 2 pieces of white bread and hot sauce and ketchup, baby. Yes.
But how much joy that has brought you. That was a fond memory. That was a good time. And
and it was,
these are the little things.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, it was.
Without
was
realizing.
Like, both them kids,
right.
We finna go to Red Snake Shack and get some
exactly what we did. Kids were going out up the street.
I am the queen of both them kids.
2 pieces of white bread with some hot sauce and ketchup. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Best meal ever.
But yeah, pouring into yourself. But those are the things that, as we, on 2022, and as we continue through 2022, putting self-care at the top of your list of things to do, I think is very, very important. We're going to go into this last one, which I really like because I think a lot of us are bad at doing this. I'll even say myself in some ways. Self-care also means calling yourself out on your own BS. Moment of silence.
Is it on? No, I'm kidding.
I just hear crickets.
You know what? That is... The unfortunate, now let me tell you how true that statement is to me. And the reason why it's resonating in my soul right now is because I do that too much. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is I constantly call myself out on stuff when there needs to be, I need to pull back from that, because some of the things that I'm calling myself out on, they're not necessary. But I've conditioned myself to have this negative language to myself, and I need to put. It's like, Melissa, it's really not. You really are. That's
everything
not even
ain't you, Melissa.
It's really not. It's not that. But like you got to give yourself a break. Like you have to really stop.
I agree with that.
Putting yourself down so much, because first of all, there's no awards given in heaven for that. So you can stop with that. And two, it's not helping your children. Even in their adult ways, because they're watching and they're still learning from you. And that continual calling yourself out unnecessarily, it's like, why are you doing that? Like, what are you doing that for? So I have to get better with my self-care, my love language to myself.
Ooh, I like how you say that. Your love language.
My love language to myself.
I think that really speaks to a lot. I think of we were talking a couple weeks ago about, affirmations and positive affirmations, and even being careful of the things that you think. Latricia said you think about things for more than 17 seconds. I think it's like when they start to imprint on you. Yeah. So, and that's even the negative thoughts that you think about yourself.
Yep.
Or, towards yourself. So that is very, very, very powerful. Calling yourself out on your own BS. I think, we all know, there's always something that you're just like, I really shouldn't have done that. I really should stop doing this.
Yeah.
Or I really, like a lot of times you'd be like, well, I don't know what the problem is. I think you know what the problem is.
You know what the problem is. Yeah.
You just don't want to face your own problem.
Yeah.
And, of course, because we always want to let ourselves off the hook, right? Like we kind of categorize that as self-care. I'm going to let myself off the hook. But I think what this is saying is that self-care isn't letting yourself off the hook. Self-care is letting you, like you said, sit with things and deal with it. Sometimes you just got to deal with yourself on things, pulling it inward. That's self-care, and be like, okay, this one was me.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to own that.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's a lot of freedom in owning things and saying out loud that you own things. I think there's a lot of freedom in that as well. This has been like such a great conversation. I feel like I can go on forever and ever and ever, but I'm pretty sure that our producer is like, no, that's not happening.
I want to cut us off.
I know, there's always a cutoff. I'd like to thank my wonderful guest Melissa for joining me today. This was an excellent conversation about self-care, taking care of yourself. And because she is part of my self-care routine, Yay!
And you are part of mine.
Yes,
you are
you're
my
part of my
accountability.
self-care routine, knowing that, when I had my surgery a couple months ago, this person was checking on me like, yes. And I appreciated that. I needed that. And so make sure that you continue to follow us. You can watch My Better Living live on Power Plug Radio YouTube. You can catch us live on the radio. Just download the Power Plug Radio app. You can follow me, Nurse Shar, at Nurse Shar RN on IG, Twitter, and on TikTok. And you can catch My Better Living on YouTube and Facebook and old shows. Thank you to the sponsors, the Bird Care. Thank you to my guests again. And we are out.
You're listening to Power Plug Radio, home of your throwback jams.
My Better Living. Spend some time with Nurse Shar for honest and healing conversation about the benefits, challenges, and real-life struggles of living healthy, well, fit, and free. Real discussion for real people who want real change. My Better Living. This podcast is being broadcast on Power Plug Radio, home of your throwback jams. You can download Power Plug Radio app on Google Play or the Apple iStore. Don't forget to subscribe to the Power Plug Radio YouTube, where you can catch My Better Living live every Tuesday night. And visit www.powerplugradio.com to find out how you can sponsor